I'd like to call the October 25th, 2021 regular town board meeting for the town of Aberdeen into session. If you would like to speak on a topic tonight, there are agendas and requests to speak. If you would fill one of those out and give it to the clerk if you have an item you'd like to speak on, and we will be glad to hear what you have to say. I'm going to tell the commissioners to please turn on their mics because this is recorded, and it's also broadcast to those that are at home, and we're glad to see so many people here tonight. We're glad you're here for whatever item you might be interested in. So with that said, the first item is the call to order, which I just did, and then under that is A, setting, well, excuse me, where's the pledge? Oh, okay, I've already missed, okay, I missed it. All right, Pledge of Allegiance, excuse me. Just please stand. Thank you. I will close out item number 1, and I'll go to item number 2, which is setting of the agenda. Paul, do you have anything?
No, sir, nothing to change on the agenda as it was presented.
Okay, as presented. All right. Is there a motion to accept the agenda?
I'll make a motion to accept the consent agenda.
There is a motion. Is there a second? There is a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That carries. Thank you. Close out 2 and go to number 3, consent agenda. All items listed below are considered routine or have been discussed at length in previous meetings will be enacted by one motion. No separate discussion will be held except on a request by a member of the Board of Commissioners. A, consider approval of minutes of regular board meeting on September 27, 2021, closed session of September 27, 2021, work session on October 11, 2021, closed session on October 11, 2021, special call meeting on October 13, 2021, in closed session on October 13, 2021. B is consider approval of resolution number 21-32, direct the clerk to investigate the sufficiency of a petition receiving under General Statutes 168-31 submitted by Moore, H.L. Properties, and Karen Robertson for voluntary annexation of approximately 37.169 acres. Request consent of 2 parcels, and they're listed east of Bethesda Road, east of E.L. Ives Drive, and C, consider approval of resolution number 21-33 for the Fort Bragg Regional Land Use Advisory Commission bylaws revisions. Anyone? Needs a motion from,
I make a motion that we accept the consent agenda as is.
all right, there is a motion consent to accept the consent agenda as is. There is a second. Discussion from the board? Anyone? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. We're down to number 4, which is informal discussion and public comment. And then under that, there's A, and we'll do that because I know a lot of people are here for that part of it, and then we'll get back to the informal discussion. A is the introduction and oath of office for new police officers. Is Mr. Chaves Brian, is he here? Yes. Okay.
Good afternoon. I'm Captain Chavis with over the Patrol Division, and we have our new officer here. This is Alexander Monroe, the parents of Mike Monroe and Lisa Hickman. Alex is from Bisco, North Carolina. She graduated from Congress High School in 2019. Alex then attended San Jose Community College and took the daytime class. She is currently attending UNC Pembroke and studying criminal justice. And her mother, Lisa Hickman, will be holding the Bible for her tonight.
Bible. You will place your left hand on the Bible, raise your right hand, and repeat after me. I, Alexandria Monroe,
I, Alexandria Monroe,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and maintain
that I will support and maintain
the Constitution and laws
the Constitution and laws
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution and laws
and the Constitution and laws
of North Carolina,
of North Carolina,
not inconsistent therewith,
not inconsistent therewith,
and that I will faithfully and impartially
and I will faithfully and impartially
execute and discharge
execute and discharge
the duties of my office
the duties of my office
as police officer
as police officer
for the town of Aberdeen.
for the town of Aberdeen,
So help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
We have Carson Lindell, who's also a new officer with us. He is originally from Kentucky. He is the fourth child of Chief Warrant Officer Brian Lindell and Dr. Sue Lindell. He now currently lives in Whispering Pine. He's a graduate of Union Pines High School, the class of 2019. He attended San Jose Community College and graduated 2021 from the daytime class. He is currently working towards his criminal justice degree at San Jose Community College. And his mother, Dr. Lindell, will be holding a Bible for him this afternoon.
You will place your left hand on the Bible, raise your right hand, and repeat after me. I, Carson Lindell,
I, Carson Lindell,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and maintain
that I will support and maintain
the Constitution and laws
the Constitution and laws
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution and laws
and the Constitution and laws
of North Carolina,
of North Carolina,
not inconsistent therewith,
not inconsistent therewith,
and that I will faithfully and impartially
and that I will faithfully and impartially
execute and discharge
execute and discharge
the duties of my office
the duties of my office
as police officer
as police officer
for the town of Aberdeen.
for the town of Aberdeen.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
I have the newest officer with us, Seth Moore. His parents are Crystal Willis and John Moore. Seth is originally from Newport Richey, Florida. He's a graduate from River Ridge High School in Richey, Florida. He graduated in 2018. He attended the San Jose Community College BLET class spring of 2021, and he graduated from the nighttime class. His girlfriend, Madison Faulkner, will be holding a Bible for him this afternoon.
Hold the Bible. Seth, if you'll just step up a little bit so we can be closer to the microphone. Place your left hand on the Bible and raise your right. And repeat after me. I, Seth Moore,
I, Seth Moore,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and maintain
that I will support and maintain
the Constitution and laws
the Constitution and laws
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution and laws
and the Constitution and laws
of North Carolina,
of North Carolina,
not inconsistent therewith,
not inconsistent therewith,
and that I will faithfully and impartially
and that I will faithfully and impartially
execute and discharge
execute and discharge
the duties of my office
the duties of my office
as police officer
as police officer
for the town of Aberdeen.
for the town of Aberdeen.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
call for this afternoon. I have Officer Shea Branson. His parents is Suzanne and Ronald Johnson. Shea has a son, Devin Branson. Shea is originally from Fayetteville, North Carolina. He graduated from Pinecrest High School in 2017. He then attended San Luis Community College 2019 and graduated from the day class. Shea comes from Robbins Police Department with 1 year of experience. Shea has an associate's degree in criminal justice from Sand Hills. He also has a 4-year degree from UNC Pembroke. And his fiancee, Cass Tidwell, will be holding the Bible this afternoon.
All right, if you will, place your left hand on the Bible, raise your right hand, and repeat after me. I, Shea Branson,
I, Shea Branson,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and maintain
that I will support and maintain
the Constitution and laws
the Constitution and laws
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution and laws
and the Constitution and laws
of North Carolina,
of North Carolina,
not inconsistent therewith,
not inconsistent therewith,
and that I will faithfully and impartially
and that I will faithfully and impartially
execute and discharge
execute and discharge
the duties of my office
the duties of my office
as police officer
as a police officer
for the town of Aberdeen.
for the town of Aberdeen.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
We are indebted to these young men and women for stepping up to take these positions. It is not an easy job, and it's becoming difficult to find qualified police officers. So we appreciate these people coming tonight, all of the families and relatives that came to see them tonight. We appreciate you coming, and we wish them well. Thank you. I'm going to let them clear the room, and then we'll get back. Okay, we're still at informal discussion and public comment, and I do have several requests to speak, and this is in the order that I got them from. The first one, if you'll come up to the microphone, and I'll call you out. Ms. Burns.
Hi. Whoops.
Oh.
I don't want to scream. Hi, my name is Carol Burns. My husband Russell and I moved to this lovely community 3 years ago. We're California transplants, and we love it. We moved into the Forest Hills Point neighborhood, which is absolutely one of the best I have ever lived in. Kids, dogs, people waving, helping each other. We have a great community. I was hoping I would have a little bit more support. I've never done this. But being disabled veterans, we sit on our front porch in the morning and watch the sunrise, and we don't have to get ready for work. But we're constantly seeing school buses, mail personnel, delivery trucks, huge trucks, and many, many civilian people racing through the neighborhood, Sun Road, Longleaf, Robinwood, I believe, as well as the back one, I think it's John McQueen. And the neighbors are concerned, maybe not as much as I am tonight, but they are very busy with their wonderful families, and it's dinner time. I'm here to ask, what can we do? We have asked and graciously accepted more patrol in our neighborhood. There has been many citations written this year. But people don't slow down. We've had people slam on their brakes and yell at the pedestrians, the children and the bikes and the dogs, to get out of their way. It's 25 miles an hour through the whole neighborhood, and we have one sign coming in some road. And I'm not sure about the other ones. I requested, can we put up children and critters at play signs? And they said I needed to come to the board meeting. It's taken me several months to get brave enough to come to the board meeting. I don't know what can be done. It's kind of a waste of officer time to be sitting and waiting for someone to speed. Basically, between 7 and 8 in the morning, and it's still dark, people think nobody's going to see them. There are people out jogging, and in the evening, when it's dark, people speed up. So I'm asking for help of what we can do. Can we get signs to put on our lawns to just, you know, remind everybody that it's a 25-mile-an-hour speed limit? I don't know if speed bumps are possible, and I'm not sure if many of the neighborhoods that want to rush to get to the work want speed bumps, but before something happens.
Thank you for bringing this to our attention. Yes, ma'am. Your neighborhood isn't the only one.
I realize that.
And they're speeding. People just are in a hurry today, and they don't remember that there is a speed limit.
Are there
we can get-
signs to be?
We can get other signs. This is our Public Works Director. He can address that.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, the children at play signs, is that your
Children
reference?
at play and maybe a couple more speed signs instead
Yeah.
of behind the bushes.
Yes, ma'am. We'll take a look at it. Public Works will take a look at it. I know there's 3 speed limit signs that are 25. There's one when you come in that says tire subdivision, 25 miles an hour. And then there's 3 more throughout the, well, there's
Yeah, I
multiple. If
think
we're talking about
there's 3 or
Sun Road
4, yeah.
specifically,
Mhm.
down throughout Sun Road. Yeah, we do not, as a practice, we do not do speed bumps for
They're
various
annoying.
reasons. Yeah, absolutely. But for the signage, though, my department will take a look at that and make sure they're
appreciate it.
visible, 1. 2, take a look at if specific areas, you know, children at play signs are not a problem. That's not a problem either.
We have a big front yard. I'd be happy to have a giant sign in my yard. I would not. So thank you for your time.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you for bringing it to our attention.
Harold, what are the children at play signs? Are they a small sign, or are they a?
Yes, ma'am, they're a small sign, and it just has children at play. And if they're in like a heavily trafficked area, we get requests to place children at play signs. They're still placed within a right-of-way. They're non-regulatory, non-enforceable, but it's just kind of visual to say, hey, there's a lot of children in this area. So we
I was
get
going to say, one of
requests.
the things that they have done in our neighborhood is they have those green, it looks like a child silhouette with a flag out. We have several of those throughout our neighborhood.
Placed in-
That has really made a difference with the speed, because
Oh.
if you see it, it's not as, I guess, intrusive, and, you know, it's right on the road, but I don't know if that's legal, really, or just citizens doing that to try to calm it themselves.
There's one on Poplar Street. I mean,
Is it
not-
green?
I mean, Main Street,
Up at the top.
up top of the hill. I don't know whose it is.
The citizens put it out.
Yeah, Citizen put it out. It looks like a child.
Yes.
and You can put a flag in it.
Flag.
You can
Yeah.
put things in your own yard. I mean, you could, yeah, you could put something like that. And I know that there's one right up the top of the hill on Main Street if you want to look at it and see what that is. I don't know where it came from. I don't know who purchased it. Yeah, but I mean, that's, if it's in your yard, that's fine. And you'll get back to us on that.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. And thank both of you for your service. Next one is Burdette, is it Rast or Russ? Russ, I'm sorry. Yes, I see it now. Yeah.
Good evening.
Yes, sir.
With knowing that I don't need to get too close to a mic. First off, I want to welcome myself to the commission. This is the first time I've ever done anything like this. And again, my gratitude to all of these new policemen that has been hired for the Aberdeen area. My heart goes out to all the ones that have been here and all the new ones that are coming on board. What I'm trying to bring to the attention, I have a handout. It doesn't have to be answered, everything has to be answered at all. They can get back to me at a later date. That's not a problem. To whom it may concern, this plot of land is owned, I'm speaking of the plot of land that is adjacent to Post 70 to the American Legion building, and it's used for the good of community. I would like to go on record and ensure my intentions are only for clarity and to ensure all the proper procedures were followed as are required by anyone attempting improving one's personal property in the Aberdeen area. When this land was sold adjoining Post 72, the proceeds were issued to the American Legion, but I'm not sure about the year. It was probably less than 10. At that time, was a licensed surveyor used to redraw up the parcels. Just my own curiosity, whether or not that was done, if it's required or not, I'm not sure. Prior to the exchange, was it required to have a public hearing declared for that, event to occur, the parcel sale? In previous meetings with the Williamsons, they're the people that sponsored that new memorial that's placed in memory of the women that are in the military. A discussion regarding the playground was brought up. So knowledge of the activity was in the overall plan, yes or no? I think it was. Were the Williams required to pull a permit? Just curiosity for that installation. After the completion of the recent memorial monument, how did the plan to continue the playground progress? I'm just sure about the normal procedures going through the town, because I'm not familiar with your procedures regarding something like this. The drawing shown to us that day was a group of us from the American Legion were there when we found out that they were starting the playground. And don't get me wrong, I am all for the moving of that old playground out by the railroads and the railroad yard and stuff like that. And the drainage areas, they had problems down there. I'm all for bringing that back to a safer place for the kids. So the knowledge of the, after the completion of the recent memorial monument, how did the plan to continue the playground? Now these bifocals are driving me crazy. The drawing that was shown to us started the playground never reflected the new memorial site. It was explained it was a simple concept drawing at the time. Therefore, was the town engineer involved in the redevelopment of proper engineering drawings to ensure that the proper clearances and the setbacks were in order? At that time, was a permit issued to begin the playground build? And was a call made to 811 regarding underground utilities? Below grade drilling did occur. How was the contractor determined for the project, i.e. were 3 quotes requested and the particular contractor was selected from that? Is this area part of the historical register for the town of Aberdeen? And I'd like to thank you for the opportunity this time, and I respectfully submitted Burdette W. Rust. Now, basically, that memorial was put up by the efforts of a scout working on the Eagle project. And we were very supportive of that. We have one of the few female veterans in her late 70s who is part of the American Legion up there. So she was very pleased. And we had a wonderful time showing it off and having all the dignitaries there. And the mayor joined us for that, and we really appreciated it. But in retrospect now, with this new playground right there, we're afraid that damage could occur to that memorial. Now, from what I've heard, I understand they might be moving the memorial to some other location away from the playground area. I'm not sure. We're just here to make sure that the kids are safe, they have a place to play. It's segregated away from memorials. Today, memorials are not looked at as they used to be, and playgrounds are much more safer for kids. So, you know, it's all a win-win situation for everybody. I'd just like to take the time to thank the commissioners and the mayor for me to have the opportunity just to express some concerns as a concerned citizen for Aberdeen.
Thank you for bringing this to us. If you have your agenda, item number 7, under public hearings and new business, we are going to bring that up
Okay, very good.
tonight.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you. Let's see. Anyone else would like to speak? This is, we're still in the informal discussion, public comment. Is anyone else tonight would like to speak on a topic that you have something we'd like to hear? If you have, please let us know. We still have this open. Anyone else? Okay. Anyone from the board? Anything?
This gentleman.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, you gonna wait for 7A?
I will follow him. This is reference to the same.
Okay, yeah, we were gonna bring it up at 7A. If you want to speak now, you can, or wait till 7A.
Mayor, I'll just point out that, you know, the item is not really a public discussion. I mean, now might be the better
Okay,
time for public
okay, well
comment,
then,
yeah.
if you want to do it now, that's fine. That's fine.
Good evening to you. My name is David Butler. I've been living in Aberdeen for at least 2 or 3 years. Now, I'm also one of the officers, as Mr. Russ is, also of the American Legion. And my concern, and we have discussed this about the thing, any lawsuits that may arise, that was one of the bigger concerns that we had, and also the reverence for those monuments. I'm a veteran. Buzz is a veteran. My father was a World War II veteran. My brothers and all of us were Vietnam veterans, and you know, that means a lot to us. And to have the ladies and the town really brought up, and we talked about that when they were getting ready to put that monument or that Eagle project over where it was. They were going to move it to the lake, I think is where they were talking about originally. But putting it over here was fine. That's a great idea to have it over there because the ladies should be represented as well as anyone else as a veteran that served. And I appreciate the opportunity to speak.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Anyone else on this item? Or any other item? Okay, if not, I'm going to close out number 4, informal discussion, public comment, and we'll go to number 5, manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor. On the manager's report, you've got the written version in front of you. Just a couple of highlights. You've got the updates, and Mr. Watson will provide more of a quarterly kind of summary for the board at his turn in just a few minutes. He's given you and passed out some quite detailed information about where we stand in this budget year and some other forecasts for the year, which it's a good report. So I will leave that to him entirely on the financial side, which will be up in just a few minutes. You've got these standard monthly reports from the different departments that you're used to. And again, you know, things are moving along pretty well in each department. Again, you know, things continue to be busy in a good way, Mayor. And everybody's working hard, but it's lots of activities. We got a lot of things going on. I know Regina and the HR department have done a great job in getting our staffing levels back to where they need to be. I think you saw evidence of that tonight with 4 new officers, which we're extremely glad to get sworn in and get started. So those are all good things. Got a few more to fill, but we're getting there. So really, it's a good time for the town. On a few more specific things, Mayor, on the new PD facility, Again, things are moving very well with that. Both Chief Colasacco and Chief Richardson are going through kind of a longer punch list item, and punch list is usually a good thing, and this one is, meaning you're getting closer to the end of the project than you were a few months ago, and this project is wrapping up, Mayor. Believe it or not, it is wrapping up. It's been a long time, but I'll say that, the schedule has been great. The contractor has done a tremendous job of adhering to that schedule, and so we're in pretty good shape. We'll see how it goes here this last month. We were hoping to be moving in sometime in early, mid-November. I still think we'll hit that time frame, and then try to have some sort of grand opening, maybe in the early December time frame. Don't hold me to that, Mayor, but we'll see. We'd like to have the whole police force and the furniture, that's going to move in pretty soon. I think that's in the next week and a half, Philip. Is that right? For the furniture? Yeah, the next week and a half. And then hopefully, I know Dean, our IT specialist, has got some computer works. And the thing with that is he can't just move it to the empty building and turn on the switch and then the police are still in the old building. It's kind of one of those things where it's either there across the street in its temporary location or it's down the street in a new location. So there's a little bit to handle there. So he's trying to finesse that so we can kind of not be down for any longer than we have to. But you can see we're getting to the finesse here, the final details of how to get moved over there. So again, this is late October. So we're hoping the next 2 or 3 weeks we'll be pretty active in terms of the actual move and getting over there. So we're getting close, Mayor. The last big segment is, of course, the paving, which is not completed. They're getting close to that, and we're hoping that's going to happen here in the next 2 weeks, which I think will really get things to a point where it looks complete from not just the inside, but the outside, too. On the statue, still holding our breath on that. Obviously, we'd like to have that in place, which is the front area of the building on the US 1 side. So we'll see how that goes with regard to, the ceremony we want to have, because certainly it would only be appropriate to have that statue in place before we have that, if at all possible, and that's what we're hoping for. So again, it's a good report with that facility, and again, it's at or under budget, and we feel good about that. Moving on, Mayor, I think you saw in my weekly report at the end of last week, there was a pretty big step in the ARPA funds, which is the latest version of the COVID-19 kind of relief funds that came out back in March. And I know you've heard me say, seen in my weekly reports on a regular basis, great news, the town was awarded over 2 years, a total of $2.5, a little bit more $million in funds based on our population. We have received one half of that. I think it was $1,272,000 that we already have possession of. And we were waiting, along with every other local government in the entire country, about the specific guidelines about how we can spend those funds. So I know you know that. You've heard that over and over again. Good news happened just last week. The first step, the U.S. Senate passed a bill that really opens up the flexibility of expending those funds. It's now on the House side, so we're waiting to see. And we don't, and believe it or not, and it's hard to believe I can even say this in this day and age of politics, but the report was that bill passed in our U.S. Senate by 100%. When's the last time that happened on anything? So anyway, take that for what it's worth. We'll see how it does in the House. I wouldn't bet that's going to happen that way in the House just because, well, it's the House, and we'll see how that goes. But I expect it to pass overwhelmingly. It's just a matter of scheduling when it gets through. But Mayor, that's a really big boost in terms of our ability to move forward and use these funds in an efficient manner. And that long-awaited and preliminarily planned for meeting with the board about, all right, what's our next step for these funds with water and sewer, parks, downtown improvements, will happen after we have that, and we can have a really good, I think, enjoyable discussion about what's the best way to get the most out of those funds. So those are two really good. I really couldn't believe it when I saw that notice that had passed the Senate. I think it was either Wednesday or Thursday night last week. So that's a big step and very important. So we'll keep you posted on how it fares in the House. And finally, Mayor, just to give the board an update, we did get the purchase contract for the old Aberdeen Elementary School that was signed last week. We sent over to the school system. They have signed and returned their version, so we're off and running on that. So now we're in our due diligence to get the survey done, which we've already acquired a surveyor. We got a Phase 1 environmental study contracted today, and they think they can get it done without any problem. That's the Phase 1 aspect, and as does the surveyor, so that's all good news. So as we mentioned, we're a little bit worried. I think, Mayor, you're part of one of those discussions about getting a surveyor because a lot of them are backed up, but we're lucky to get some help from LKC and their survey crew there to get that done. And it will be what they call kind of a boundary survey to get which is what we really need to complete the purchase contract for that land. So we're in good shape there, and we think we'll have both of those done we hope by middle to end of November. And the closing date, based on the contract language, is now set for December 20th of this year to close. So we're in good shape. We will have to do another amendment to provide for the funds to make that closing, but I think Mr. Watson's going to bring that to you either our next meeting or the meeting after that. So really just kind of a pretty easy budget amendment. So everything looks good so far. I've had a few conversations with the facilities coordinator, Mr. Brath, about a few things here and there. So we got some things with utilities and security, some of the programs for those we've got to work through and just kind of get there, but we'll get it done, Mayor. I just want to give you a report that it's all moving forward, and I'm sure there'll be some things we have to deal with, but I think our staff's ready to move forward with that and get this project completed and closed, and then move on to the next step, which is to plan the renovations and a partnership with a good and interested developer for a good bit of that property. So, Mayor, that's all I have, unless there's some questions on that.
Anyone have any questions about his report? Yeah, the funds that we have received, like you said, I think everybody in America is trying to figure out exactly how to spend it because there are some regulations on it. It's not we didn't get $1 million, whatever it was, the half of the 2.5. We didn't get half of it just to spend the way we wanted to spend it.
Right, and sitting in the bank account, this interest rates is not a good investment, so.
Yeah, that's right. So hopefully we can get the guidelines and move forward with that
Yes, sir.
money. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Let's see, the next is financial report. Close out 5 and 36.
I have provided you a hard copy of what was sent out last week. It was easy for you to read while I'm speaking. If you take a look at the memo that was sent along with that, I'll talk about that first. Let me advance that back up. So I'm going to compare last year to this year for revenue for the general fund. If you take a look, we were at the end of September, $3,558,000 in revenues. Expenditures were $2,985,000, so approximately $573,000. I'll say profit or net income to the good. As a reminder, that expenditure includes at least $538,000. We purchased a fire truck, and we're paying some other additional things, for the equipment and everything, but we have not closed that loan yet to reimburse ourselves. So really, our expenditures are overstated to a certain degree. So, but that being said, it was still $573,000 to the good at this point in time in September. As of last week, when I put this together, there were some other numbers that were not available for October, so I want to share those with you. And that's in the highlights. You'll see where the Moore County real personal property taxes were at 45% range. Well, as of today, it's 79.28%. And if you go back and look at last year, you would see that it was a little bit ahead of last year, but the tax office sent out some bills a day different. So that's why it showed it a month later in collections. Because I talked to their tax collector about it when I saw those numbers. So we're at this point in time this morning, 79.28% or $3,801,000 collected in real and personal property taxes. On the motor vehicle revenue, we are currently, as of today, 31.72%, or $107,000 range that we've collected. Also, the fire, real personal property tax revenue, we're at 55.96%, 142,706. And as a reminder, the first quarter would be 25%, 4 months, we're not quite at the end of the month, would be 33%. So you see how far that is ahead at that time. The garbage revenues hasn't changed because that's based on the bi-monthly billing. The building permit revenue is now 14.62%, or $52,000. And as you've heard the planning director say, they're getting ready to start seeing some more building permits come along based on what's been approved by the board. So that will pick up. The ABC net revenues are at 90.85% as of today, $127,000. The sales tax revenue, let me come back to that one, if you don't mind. The utility franchise tax and the power bill hasn't changed since end of September because of the way we collect those. On sales tax, we are at 21.54%, and that's only for 2 months, the way it's collected. 514,072. I'm not going to do a sales tax analysis tonight like I've done before. It's too early in the game, but we are ahead of what we budgeted. I will say that. So a little bit later, after the first of the year, I'll start providing that to you, like I did last year. Any questions on the general fund? Okay, water and sewer fund, at the end of September, we were $1,527,000, expenditures $1,341,000, or net profit or net income of $185,000. The system development fees were 18.38% end of September. Today is 19.73%. The water and sewer revenues haven't changed because we'll get ready to build something later this week for November 1st billing. Water and sewer tap revenues were at 53.26% September. Today is 56.44%. And port water revenue from Moore County hasn't changed either. So overall, very good. Yeah, I took a look today. I think if you look at the water sewer revenue number, we're about 4 to 5% ahead of what we budgeted at that point in time. Any questions on water and sewer? On the next page, on the police station renovation, Paul's already touched on that a little bit tonight. We have revenues or money we've received from the bank, $4,262,721. Expenditures, $4,305,555. That difference there, basically, we haven't reimbursed ourselves for the statute yet that we've paid for. And that's most of it right there. So basically, we're right on the money of what we receive, what we pay out on that project, and that will be ending up again in the next few months, obviously. We'll be paid out on those monies. And if you take a look at the spreadsheet, the large 11 by 17, you can follow the revenue. It's detailed there, what the expenditures are and the revenues and so forth. And if you have any questions, you can catch me after the meeting or call me anytime, email me or whatever. I didn't want to hit all boring details in the meeting. On the Sportsplex project, there's a typo on there. And what it is, the net income should be $15,713.88. Everything else on the thing is correct. I had so many numbers I was looking at last week. I put the correct number and left the old number on there. So all the totals, everything else is correct. It's only those two items, the $15,713.88 for Sportsplex net income, then that variance would be bracketed with the same number. Other than that, everything else is correct. But on Sportsplex, we have revenues, what the general fund had paid out. Last year, remember, these are capital projects of $301,000. Expenditures to date, carried from last year as well, about $285,000. That both are from end of September. So that's basically right spending is exactly what we expected at this point in time. So any questions on that? So the total, if you take all those funds together, again, police station project and Sportsplex project or capital project, they carried over from last year. It's not just years, but I just want to track for tracking purposes. We're ahead, basically revenues of expenditures, by about $731,000 to the good at this point in time in the year. In great shape at this point in time.
Great.
Next thing I'd like to go over would be the deposit cash investments. And you've seen this sheet before where I break it down by what bank it's in, checking account, CD, and so forth. Well, let's focus on the totals, and you can look on the memo or the other, but if you take a look at all of those, we're ahead of the game between last year and this year, $2,443,000. Now, that does include that $1,272,000 from the ARP money. So that's included. So you take that out, you still see that we are ahead of the game. We're probably really more than that, since the real personal property tax is a month behind on what we had last year.
You said included the
Pardon?
stimulus money? I mean, you said that included the COVID money?
Yeah, that $1,272,000 is included in there.
Okay.
It said, if you took that out, and I footnoted on my spreadsheet to show that was included. So basically, you're about still $1,272,000 range ahead where we were last year at this point in time. So that's all I had on the memo and the spreadsheets and deposits and so forth. Any questions for me?
Questions from the board? Anyone? If anyone from the board has a question, you can always come back down and talk, or call and
Thank you so much, Mayor.
have him explain some of these things if you want any further information. The town is solvent, and so we are doing well on our finances. So thank you for Mr. Watson. Any questions from the board? All right, hearing none, I'm going to close out number 6, and we'll go to number 7, which is public hearings and new business. First item is A, consider adjustments to the newly installed memorial monument for the women's veterans at the new park located on Main Street.
Mayor, just briefly, and you've already heard an introduction from some of the speakers during the public comment portion. As you know, there were some comments made about, I think once people kind of saw the Women's Veterans Memorial Monument and then the new park relocation, kind of put side by side, it looks a lot different in reality than it does on paper. And, we think it's, possibly creates some issues with the closeness. And I've laid out in this memo just some different options. I know you've spent some time on it, and some of the other board members have viewed it in the last few weeks. And really, I've just tried to lay out what I think are some of the viable options. We did notify the creator of the memorial. They were unable to attend because of an event out of town tonight. But there is some additional paperwork on your desk, really just some of the old documents that were reviewed and presented back in, I think it was basically April and May of this year, different sketch plans and different documents with the different monuments and some of the different measurements that were on there, just to refresh everybody's recollection on that. And Mayor, I'm not really gonna, relive the issue there, because I think it's just a board decision as to what to do to, if it deems it appropriate to adjust that park or that memorial, and certainly the accompanying signs that go with it. But certainly any questions for myself or Harold or Justin. Adam would be here. Unfortunately, they had their annual Parks and Rec meeting. I touched base with him a little bit. I might be able to address something on that area, but if not, we'll have to get that to you at a later date.
Thank you.
I have a question when
Yes,
question time comes. Because I've watched it, I go past there every day. So my question was, when we made the decision to move the park, we gave allowances for that monument, correct? As is. I mean, not so much of what's there, but we knew it would butt up to the park itself, correct?
That's right. I mean, we knew it was, but I think, yes, I mean, the short answer, yes. But as mentioned before, I think it's one thing to see something on paper with circles and
Right.
whatever. And as you've seen, it's a big memorial. And I think to see it along with the closeness of the new playground, which wasn't there, and remember, time-wise, the memorial was installed first and the playground came after it.
Right.
I think the perspective and the environment, you know, it's hard
That's
to
what I
gauge.
wondered, and I was
Yeah.
just curious, because in my previous job, part of my job was to install playgrounds with the school system, and we would have to take into consideration fall zones and things like that. So I just didn't know if, like, when it was being put there, you know, how much distance is there actually from the playground surface to the memorial? I mean, is there?
The circle with memorial, they touch each other.
They touch.
The actual
The-
pad.
The pour and
but
play, the pour and play
The
Yes.
round,
touches that
the
memorial.
round
Yes.
pad touches, in the center of it is the monument. And the
Yeah,
round
that's not
pad, I don't know how
good.
many feet it is
Yeah.
in
Right.
diameter, but it's,
Right.
how many? 10 feet, so it touches it. But I will say, though, you know, it's not done. I mean, the entire playground is going to have a fence around the whole perimeter. It's just not up yet. And
Yeah, I
however,
thought we were
whatever
gonna put a
happens
fence
tonight,
up at some
there is
point.
going to be a fence up there, you know, really, as a lot of playgrounds do, a 4-foot fence to, you know, keep the kids within the playground so
Right.
they don't run out, you know, to the street, or in this case, to anything else in the vicinity.
Right, and I realize the piece of property there, you've got to make it work. You know, when you take playgrounds down and move them to other locations, you've got to make it work, which is part of what, like I said, my job was. But I'm with him also, Mr. Russ, because kids climb on stuff too. You know, I was at like Texas Roadhouse last night, and kids are climbing on the plants and just, because, I mean, people don't watch their kids always. You know, you go to the park, you're reading a book, your kids are playing, so that is a concern. So for my part, I definitely think it needs to be moved. I don't know where or how far you can move it, even with the fence. I don't know if that's going to solve the problem or not, but we want to protect the integrity of the design of the monument. He worked really hard, and it's a monument. It's not supposed to be climbed on and stuff, but at the same time, we don't want kids falling on it and breaking bones either.
I had a meeting 2 weeks ago with someone from the American Legion that said the same thing, that they had seen children climbing on it already. And it has sharp edges.
Yes, sir.
The monument has sharp
Yeah.
edges. To me, it does not conform to a park with children playing where it is permanently sitting now.
Yeah.
There is a way to adjust this. The stone, the big monument, can be moved to the end of the sidewalk, where the sidewalk that goes up to the circle.
Mm-hmm.
Been in contact with Chatham Monument in Siler City. They actually set that stone, and the owner of Chatham Monument came down Monday or Tuesday of this week, and he said it can be moved. He can bring a crane down and move it. It would not be diminishing his project. It would still be there. It would just not be on that big circle of concrete, which is now butting up to the park. And it would move it away probably, 4 or 5 feet closer to the big sidewalk, and that would still be there. The monument would still be there. It would not be taken down. It would just be moved, and then the concrete circle could be also removed, and that would the Parks and Rec would then be able to put the fence around the playground. Right now, the fence can't go around it. It would have to go around that big concrete circle. So the monument would not be destroyed. It would not be taken down. It would just be moved just 4 or 5 feet closer to the big monument that's already there. So this is what we're debating tonight, and we need, everyone that wants to speak on this item to please voice your opinion. I wear two hats a lot of times, and I will say that I am on the Eagle Scout board for Moore County. The project came by my desk when we met with the Eagle Scout board, but I was not there for the final. There's two steps to an Eagle Scout project. First one is they have to propose it, and it goes before the Eagle Scout board, and it's made up of members of the scouting community. And then once the candidate gets through with this project, he has to come back and prove that he did what he said he was going to do. And if he met all those requirements, then it moves away from Moore County. It goes further up to, goes to Raleigh. And then after Raleigh, I think it goes to Texas. And it's a multiple step process for this to take place. Unfortunately, I was not at the meeting when he came back, the young scout, with his final. I did not see it. I think part of the question that has arisen with this is scale. I don't think when this thing was proposed, anyone saw the scale of this. I know I didn't. I don't know if anybody else on the board saw the scale of it. And what I mean by the scale of it was the totality of this monument. That was not taken into consideration by me. I did not see it. I saw the original, but I did not, there was no scale on the original plan. And so when it was actually put up, it was, to me, it was bigger than I thought it would be, put it that way. So we can make this work if the board would consider moving the stone just about 4 or 5 feet, putting it at the end of the sidewalk where he has the sidewalk, and then we can take up the concrete circle so that the fence will go around the playground, and it would separate that monument from the playground. And so that's where we are.
I think that would be excellent.
There is there's something that we need to also think about is Eagle Scout projects are done by the candidate, the Boy Scout candidate. Once it's put where it is, it does not belong to the Eagle Scout. So it belongs to whoever's property it's putting it, they put it on. I know that there's been Eagle Scout projects put on school campuses. There's been Eagle Scout projects put on other public places. So once it's done and the project is over, it now belongs to whoever's property it sits on. So that project over there belongs to the town of Aberdeen. Now, I understand the young man that put it together, and I understand all the people that helped him do that. But once they leave, it is no longer theirs or his. And I'll give you a classic example. My youngest son was in town Friday night, and he left Saturday, this past Saturday morning. And he came by, he came to see me, and he asked me, he said, what happened to my Eagle Scout project? And I said, what are you talking about? He said, it's gone. I said, what do you mean your Eagle Scout project's gone? You know what his Eagle Scout project was? The split rail fence at Sharp Park. If you ride by there today, it's gone. So Eagle Scout projects don't always stay where they are. That was his Eagle Scout project. It was there, he was 14 years old, he's 30 years old, so it was there 16 years. And he happened to ride by there Friday or Saturday morning. Where's my project? Well, nobody called him. Nobody called his parents. It's just gone. So Eagle Scout projects don't always last forever. I know that one was put up at a school several years ago, And the next year, the school needed that property, they just took it down. But as long as the scout gets his Eagle Scout award, that's what it amounts to. They get the award, no matter if the project's there for 16 years like my son's, or if it's there 1 year. It's the process of getting it done is what the Eagle Scout project is about. So, that happened. I guess that fence was taken down last week. Does anybody know? I don't know. But anyway, Eagle Scout projects don't always last forever. This is a case of we're not taking it down, we're just moving it. And it's a great monument to women that served in the military. I understand that. I think if we move it away from the playground for safety reasons, I think we'll be doing the right thing. So I welcome anybody else's comments.
Yes, I'd just like to say, I went over there yesterday because I wanted to, after I read this, and like everyone says, the kids were over there playing on the monument. And it just didn't seem like a lot of room to move anything. But I do feel that the young man came in here about 5 months ago. It hasn't been 6 months, so I think if we have to
May 24th.
do anything to it, like saw it or do anything, I think we should reach out to him and let him know. I think that would.
His parents have been contacted.
Yes, we have.
They've contacted his parents. And I do want to.
And I think the email,
Yes.
Justin contacted or some questions, the chain is on your desk.
And the other, and I appreciate what you said about contacting them, they have been contacted. Part of this, if you're not familiar with the Eagle Scout program, these projects are not the parents' projects. They're not. They're the Eagle Scout candidates project. So if the Eagle Scout completes the project and gets his award, that's what it amounts to. That's what he's working for, or she is working for. I know parents get really involved in a lot of things, but the bottom line is, it's not the parents' project. So, anyone else?
And Mayor, well, I was just gonna say, I pulled up the actual information he gave us that night. We all are supportive of it, but there's no specifics in this detail to, the concrete pad it was gonna be placed on. It does say there will be a walkway that goes up to it. So we will still be honoring that if we move it, because it says a concrete walk up to the monument. It didn't say a concrete pad which it would stand, nor does it say the height of the memorial. And this is on our meeting 4/24/21. So, in their defense, not trying to change what they've done, because they've done a beautiful job, but at the same time, we were not given, the specifics to the detail that the completed project as it is, the height or any of those things. So it's still going to retain the integrity of what he's doing, but, at any point, as you said, it belongs to us, and if we have to move it for the safety of the children that are involved,
Sure.
we work for the entire community, not just, and that could happen, as you said, at any point. I'm sorry, Dan, Joe, I interrupted you, but, at any point, we have to do something to change it because of the town's going to change, so we had a monument removed because it was, where I grew up, because of the nature of the monument, so things happen,
Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Just on the movement of the monument itself, when we were out there exploring our options, based on what I thought were the two feasible options under the circumstances, we could remove half of the round and move the statue closer towards the sidewalk, or remove the circle in its entirety and move it to the end of the current sidewalk.
Yes.
I guess my only question would be to ensure that the monument, the weight of the monument, we would have to look at, maintenance sooner rather than later. If that's the case, then we may consider taking half of the oval and putting it on the other half, which does appear to have at least more of a base. So either way is good as long as that sidewalk can hold that heavy monument.
The gentleman from Chatham Monument that we discussed last week believes that that's possible to put it on the sidewalk. So he is waiting, Chatham Monument is waiting to see what the board's wishes are. And whatever the board determines, he can come back and reset it. He actually set it originally from Chatham Monument. And it can be set on the end of the sidewalk, and we can make sure that that looks like it's would be substantial. But he seems to think it would be okay to put it there. So he gave a rough price. He didn't, of course, he hadn't given us, we hadn't called him to come back, but he gave a rough price, and it's very feasible to move it. So.
And then the other issue is I gather is just the fact that the monument has representation of the scout that actually did the monument?
It does not. One of the things that we charge all the Eagle Scout candidates that come before us, and this has been going on for a number of years, we charge them with putting a plaque on their project. And what we advise them to do is go to someone like Johnny O's or somewhere, wherever they choose to go, and we just say, get a brass plaque about this big. You put your troop, your name, Eagle Scout Project, and we tell them to affix it somewhere to their project. And the reason why we tell them to do that is because we tell each one of these candidates, you never know 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road, when another young person might walk up and see this and go, well, this person did this for an Eagle Scout project. I think I can do one like that. And that's the reason why we ask them to do that, is to put just a small plaque somewhere on their project. On this one, there is not one. Now, we ask them to do it. If they don't do it, that's another thing. But this one does not have anything that says on the monument that he did an Eagle Scout project. There is a sign out there, a metal sign. If you walk out there, you can see it. I don't think, in my opinion, and y'all can discuss it further, I don't think that was ever a part of this project, was that metal sign. I don't see it on any of the drawings. Did anyone see it on the drawings?
Did the Boy Scout committee, when he came back and showed what was done and that he completed it, did they evaluate those two additional signs left and right of the sidewalk to approve or inquire about the plaque, which is generally historically what's been done?
The wooden one would be passed quickly, because that does fit the Eagle Scout project, the little wooden one that's sitting out there. The metal one, I don't think that was, somebody can correct me, I don't think.
Yeah,
that was
Mayor,
ever
the
a
large
part of
metal one, the quote that's on the sign was presented and read by the Boy Scout during the submission, and this board approved it. The picture, however, was not.
Yeah, that with the picture part of that sign was never part of this project. So that was, like I said, I was not at the last meeting when he got approved once he had done the project, and I had something else that night. But
so is this something where we go back to the Eagle Scout committee and ask for the appropriateness of
Yes.
that sign on the right, and whether or not there needs to be changes?
the Eagle Scout board met a week ago tonight, and I was there. We had 5 candidates that came through, either starting the project or finishing the project. We had 5 that night. And I met with 2 of the principals with the Moore County Eagle Scout committee after that meeting, and that sign, that the metal sign, to their knowledge, was not a part of that process. It was never a part of the original project. So I don't know when it was put up or how it was put up, but I don't think it was a part of the original Eagle Scout project. What we say is get a plaque and put it on it. We've never said to any Eagle Scout project, you know, get a big metal sign and put out there.
So then are they recommending
Yes.
that the right sign be removed in total and a small plaque, as you had stated, be put up, and then the sign on the left remain
Yeah.
as it is?
I do not want to speak for the other gentlemen. I would let them do their speaking for themselves, but the consensus was that night was it was not a part of the original project.
So are they gonna come back at our work session and give us their recommendation on that right sign so that we can resolve that as part of this agenda item? I don't know if I have enough information to know what this board is being asked to do with the right sign, the right side sign.
Yeah, if you look at the original plans,
Yeah.
I don't think that sign was a part of
The
it.
original plans says it will include a plaque, a message board, and commemorative bricks outlining the concrete walk up to the monument.
So,
A plaque, a message board, and then up in the sentence previously, it said with a small excerpt. So apparently it was supposed to be small, that part of it.
yeah, I don't think this was originally part of that project.
Do they consider that right side sign the plaque?
That's what I was wondering.
That's not what we tell them, we advise them to put on their projects. It's never been a sign. And you can check with the Eagle Scout Board, and we've always said, go find you a brass plaque about that big. Troop name. See, this sign out there that's there now does not even have the troop name on it. The troop,
Oh, no.
it's not on
Put
there.
that out there.
So, this is the first time, as long as I've been on the Eagle Scout Board, that I've ever seen a sign at an Eagle Scout project. And the gentleman from the American Legion already have an Eagle Scout project on their property, If you ride behind the American Legion, there's a fire pit. And that was done by an Eagle Scout. And it should have a plaque out there on it somewhere. So, so they've got an Eagle Scout project on their property as we speak. So that's the scale of an Eagle Scout project. I've seen numerous Eagle Scout projects come through since I've been on this board. This one, by far, is the largest one I've ever seen.
So then, Mayor, based on your comments, this board is needing to make some decisions on two things. One, directing town staff on the appropriate relocation of that memorial closer to or on the sidewalk, one.
Yes.
And I think it sounds like the board is all in consensus based on what I've heard for that course of action. Based on my understanding that you, and it sounds like you have, gotten a concurrence from someone who does this for a living with heavy monuments and placement of them, that they believe that that sidewalk will hold up that monument as it is currently installed. And then second, deciding on whether or not that right sign in its entirety is appropriate based on the Eagle Scout project, and whether or not a smaller plaque, as stated in the approved documentation, should be generated in its place.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay?
And can we state the purpose of relocating the monument based on the safety of the children or the fence being located there? I mean,
It's
it's
a
not just that
combination.
we're attacking his monument.
no,
We
no,
want,
no.
we know
That's
that.
a great point, and
But we
that's
need to
why I
let it be in the
appreciate the American Legion being
And,
here.
and I
because-
think both of these gentlemen have already
That's-
stated it's
that's-
safety
Yes,
reasons.
yes.
Safety concern.
And I've seen it, and I
Safety
think
for
the
both
standoff,
reasons.
you're right, the standoff should be such that the town was already planning on putting a fence in.
Yes.
But at the same time, the town is going to place some bushes on the backside of the monument so that it is grown up and,
Yeah, it needs to look
manicured
more
to
like
where
it's a part of their building than it does
correct.
our
It's
park
it's
on
part
this
of the
side.
monument memorial site versus the
True.
playground. So there's a couple
Mhm.
steps that still need to be done, but I think in the end, we'll have a monument that still honors
Yes.
its intent
Mhm.
and also provides safety and reduces, not eliminates, as you said, with people climbing on plants at the steakhouse, the chance of a child getting into an area without at least showing some intent on boundary establishment and making sure it's clear that those are two separate things.
Yeah.
Robbie, do you think the Eagle Scout Board would be willing to write a recommendation letter to this board as far as the sign on the right?
I can ask. I can ask.
I would be comfortable with that as well, because it definitely is an issue, but I would really like to have the board that approved and finalized the project, at least give this board options in
Direction.
making recommendations to the scout on what needs to be done to modify that particular sign.
I can, I'll try to meet with them this week and the two principals that I talked to the other night, and see if that's what they would be involved with.
And I would appreciate we could just get that done by the work session,
Yeah.
so that both actions can be addressed and the board can drive on.
In the end, the young scout has achieved his Eagle Scout rank. And that was what this is all about.
True.
Exactly.
And it goes back to the fact that my son's project's gone. And there
But
was
it
no.
served its purpose for the
It
time.
served its
and that was
purpose. He
what
got
was
his Eagle
intended,
Scout. He
yes.
was, as a matter of fact, he was 14 years old when he got his Eagle Scout, which is young for an Eagle Scout. But anyway,
So are we,
his is gone, but he still got his Eagle Scout badge, and he's moved on with his life. And that's part of this is, time doesn't stand still for anyone, and things change.
You know, something, I agree with what you're saying, but this is, he just had that for 5 or 6 months, that's all. So, that's
We're not
why-
taking it down, though.
I know, I understand that, but, whatever we do, I agree that we should, just speak to him, because we did all go out there and look at the project, and we had a dedication and everything, and no one said anything that was wrong. But now that we put the park in,
Yes.
we have to revisit. So, in all fairness to him, I think that whatever we do, we should, I think you're right there. I'll be happy with that if we just talk.
And again, this is something that I don't think the board saw coming as far as commingling this big monument with the playground. We'd already said we were going to move Sharp Park, the playground part of it. And once it got set up, the scale of it now becomes apparent that this monument is next door to a playground. And if you have not gone out there to look at it, that the base of that monument is very sharp angles. It has pointed corners, and all it would take is a child to fall on that, where it is now. So I'll see what I can do about getting
I just have
the
one
board to.
question. Do you think we need to try to provide some protection until we do get that done? Because the kids are already playing on it.
Yeah, we could
If we can do that.
we could put one of those yellow fences around it, around the base. If that's something the board wants to do,
Sure, we can do that.
and keep kids from climbing on it.
Yes.
And like I said, I do know that I've been contacted from the American Legion that they have seen children playing on it. So I'll try to get this, I'll try to work on it this week and get up with some of the members of the Eagle Scout Board and see what I can do
so are we
with that.
postponing the vote tonight until we get the recommendation letter from the Eagle
I
Scout
think-
Board?
I think it's just a consensus on
Okay.
what this board desires, and what I understand is if we move the monument to the end of the sidewalk, that addresses that problem. And if this board directs them via consensus to do that, Paul and his team will get busy. And I don't think that yellow border will be out there long protecting it, because I think that's the primary
Yes,
mission.
yes.
And then in 2 weeks, I'm hopeful the mayor will be able to work with the Scout Committee for Eagle Scouts and come back with a memorandum giving us options as a board on the sign on the right to make it more in line with.
And having all the details in place.
Correct. And then I think it will be easier for us as a board to
Okay.
provide
Right.
consensus
All
on
right.
that part of it, so.
Okay.
Mayor,
Want a
just,
motion for that?
and again, a little different discussion, but just so staff's clear on this, I would ask for a motion. I want a motion on the location of the monument
All right.
and the specific removal of the pad, please.
And there's some options in the packet too. Somebody wants to look at the options. I'm kind of leaning towards option 3, but, I mean, I don't know what the board's consensus is.
Let me go back.
Are they up? They're not on the screen.
Can you pull the options?
Yeah.
up on the screen?
So we know what we're voting on. Since it's kind of controversial right now, we don't want,
There's 4 options listed in our packet.
okay.
And the only reason I'm leaning towards option 3 is back to kind of what Joe was saying. I'm just thinking about what the frost depth is here in North Carolina and all of that, that if we leave enough concrete around it, then I'm pretty sure we won't have any issues. But if we cut that concrete too close and too short, we could definitely have soil erosion from underneath it. We could also have frost issues for upheave on that concrete and may cause some damage later on. That's what I'm worried about, if we move it too far.
Ooh.
Okay, so what are we doing? Number 1, we're just gonna relocate it, right, to the sidewalk?
Can we
We're
pull
not
up the
cutting
map
anything?
too?
But these are 4 options
Yeah, I'm
on which
looking at
one,
them.
and I'm talking about option 3 is what I'm particularly speaking about. Is option
Is
3, I think, kind of gives you more protection for the monument to keep it from collapsing over time if it's sitting on the very edge of the sidewalk. Not knowing anything, because I didn't see any specs on how much concrete was poured, how deep it was poured.
Yeah.
Is it 4 inches, is it 3 inches?
That's why I say.
So I'm like, if we do number 3, which is remove half of the circle and then move the monument to the middle half of that circle, what's left, that's gonna give it some more protection and to spread that load of that monument out over the course of the slab. Now, if the monument company wants to write a recommendation letter stating that they'll take responsibility for setting it on into the sidewalk and can guarantee us it's not gonna collapse, and then we have to rebuild it later on, that's fine too, then I'll go with that option.
Can we find out how deep that sidewalk is?
The only way you'd be able to do it is to you'd have to core cut it. You'd have to get a core and core cut it and see how deep it is.
Other than digging down beside it.
Yeah, it just depends on how it was formed. I don't know how it was formed. And working for a structural engineering firm, I was not out there when it was formed.
Sure.
I haven't seen any details on it, so I don't know how they're protecting it from the frost depth in North Carolina. And that's what I'm kind of concerned about. I know the more concrete you got around it, the more load it can take.
And we could, I think 3 does say half of the circle, but you could also take more than half and move the monument closer to the sidewalk and still have a base for it.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to be actually half of the circle. It could be, 2/3 of the circle, or whatever.
Yeah, as long as we leave enough around it to spread
Leave
that
enough.
load out.
That
I
would,
just don't like putting it right on the edge of that sidewalk. There's just not enough protection around it.
all right.
If you
So,
look at the map, if you
Thank
pull
you,
the map
Mr.
up,
Engineer. That's what I was looking for.
I was gonna say, if you could pull the map up, if you even put it halfway, it's still gonna be in the playground area.
Yeah, it is. That's the
mean,
reason I suggested
yes.
that we can figure out how much of that base needs to be on that circle and then cut the rest of it off. And it doesn't have to be at the halfway mark. It could be more than that,
Yeah.
60% of it or something like that. Just enough for it to sit on that base.
And you're saying you don't feel comfortable with putting anything, or any of that on the sidewalk after it's cut, after, it's modified or anything? You don't feel comfortable with putting it on the sidewalk?
I don't
completely
personally know.
No?
If you set it directly on the end of the sidewalk, when I walked out
Not
there,
the end,
it's
but I mean,
basically the
moving
width
it
of
in
the
a little
sidewalk.
bit.
It's basically the
I'm
base.
saying on the sidewalk, I'm not saying on the end, I'm saying on the sidewalk. So you're saying you don't feel comfortable with putting it on the sidewalk?
There's enough room that it could have some base of the sidewalk behind it. It doesn't have to be at the end of the sidewalk.
Yeah.
There's enough there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm even comfortable moving it up within, say, 6 or 8 inches of the end of the sidewalk and then coming back a foot behind it and cutting it off.
Okay.
You know
Well,
what I mean?
yeah.
Somewhere in that location. I just don't agree with setting it directly on the end of the sidewalk itself.
So that would get it pretty close to the sidewalk.
So I don't know how much that would cut off of the circle, but yeah.
Well, I mean.
Well, to me, I'm thinking about what kind of fence? I mean, the fence needs to be like something that makes sense for the park too. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm thinking
exactly.
about the monument, we're trying to preserve the integrity of that, but at the same time, thinking about the park, I mean, just moving it up a little bit so the fence is, it's still gonna look zigzaggy. I mean, doesn't the fence need to go like at at least a straight line from the park?
Yeah, just to clarify on the fence is actually, you see that last drawing from one of the meetings. If you look at that yellow line,
Yeah,
if I'm
I'm
not
looking at it.
mistaken, and Justin, help me out, that yellow line starting from the Main Street side is actually a lot further to the left and goes
Okay.
straight up along the edge of
Yeah,
the monuments. It's not, am I right, Justin? It's not really planned to go, I mean, it can go wherever, but I want to say it's closer to the gray, to the left, to kind of have, like you said, more of a straight shot to the edge, and then it goes around that swing set, once you get past the monument, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct.
Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
who's making the decision about where the fence is gonna go? Is it our Public Works, or are we hiring somebody to come in and put a fence up? Because
And we're going to tell the fence company where to put it.
you're gonna tell the fence company where you wanna put it.
That's right.
So you're not planning on putting it in a straight line. It's gonna be kind of curved around this monument as yet, even though we're moving it.
No, once it's moved, it'll be a straight line.
It will be?
I mean, there might be an angle here and there. I mean, I got to go to the site and look at it again, but, the dimensions are still, you got to kind of be out there and see it. And this, this is close, but it's actually it's more in the middle of like that front gray one if you locate it, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, the playground equipment don't go all the way out to Main
Yeah.
Street like this map shows.
Right.
Yeah, I just don't feel comfortable voting on it tonight, because I still think that we'll vote on it, and then it might not be right. I mean, we need to make sure we're moving this thing, it's gonna look right, so we don't have to come back again, because these people are gonna be, they're gonna feel passionate about it, whatever we do to it anyway. So it's gotta be right for us and for the park. And sight unseen, I mean, I can trust whoever's making this decision for the fencing, if it's Public Works or.
Well, we can have everyone go out and look at it one more time, and when we.
Yeah, I think that would be a
I think you
good
wanted to do
thing.
it at the work session?
That's what.
I don't feel comfortable that way.
Certainly,
Don't do it at the work
if
session.
that's the desire, for both, but the one thing in the work session is going to be the scout input on the right small sign as opposed to a plaque, not necessarily the actual movement of the monument itself. But if based on that, Mayor, you'd like to package that all up, I think everybody else, commissioner-wise, has taken a look at the site. So if Commissioner Beavers needs to do that, since she has confidence in.
I've seen it, I've been out there, but not since all the playground equipment's been put around it.
That's what's driving this whole thing.
Right.
Is the the monument.
So everybody on the board other than myself has seen how it's placed and is comfortable tonight voting on putting a fence.
We're not voting on the fence.
No, honestly, the fence isn't even at issue here. At issue is making sure that the monument and the playground coexist regardless of whether a fence is there. And right now, the playground is actually up against
It's actually formed around it.
and formed around the monument to where there isn't even a gap, so a child or a parent or anyone, a citizen, can walk from one to the next and not even miss a beat. And so what we're trying to do is at least delineate a standoff between the two, regardless of the fence. Obviously, my assessment would be any of these couple options discussed would allow for that proper separation between the two to allow for the town to then effectively install the fence and potentially put some bushes in there, some landscaping, and then us drive on and have both of those be in a more symbiotic, state.
Right, if you feel like that's gonna be enough, I mean, that's my concern, is it still gonna be enough just to move it up to half of a circle? Or more, yeah. It might need to be moved entirely, is what I'm thinking. If there's an option, I mean, if we're gonna move it the first time, at least make sure everything's gonna work. If you feel like it's gonna work, one of these options for sure.
Does everyone want to think about this and come back in 2 weeks and decide, or what's the board's wishes? I'll try to track down the Eagle Scout board members and see what I can get from them. It's
If we get more details, then
well, yeah,
we will be.
it's really, they've already passed this, and the young man has gotten his Eagle Scout, so, or he's in the process of getting. So actually, they've moved on. I mean, they did what they had to do. Now, I can ask them about that metal sign out there, but I've already discussed it with them. I can get them to say something if they would do it. But that's not a normal item that we put on an Eagle Scout project. We inform all of them
Why can't we just move it ourselves then if it belongs to us?
to put a
then?
plaque on it, and there's no plaque on that monument.
So
Can we not we can't make a motion then to just remove his sign if we feel like it's not,
Yeah, it's on our,
now that it's ours?
it's on our
I
property.
mean, why do we need, the Eagle Scout to even give us that approval?
Yeah, that's,
Well,
Just 'cause it would
because
be nice?
Because I think if you saw the sign, you'd understand a
I
little bit
saw
more.
it. I've seen his sign. It's a huge sign, yes.
Okay,
And I'm just saying now that it belongs to us and we feel like then it's not necessary to be there, why couldn't we as a town remove it ourselves?
we can. And honestly, I don't think 2 weeks is going to
Well-
make a difference on the movement of the memorial decision or
Okay.
monument decision either. I really believe that we probably just need to make a decision, make a motion, and allow the town staff to continue both the plan of moving the monument and completing the park, which even the few times I've been out there, parents have been walking by asking when it's going to be live. So
Sure.
I think another 2 weeks of
That's
trying to
fine.
discern that and hold off on fence movements and designs, just going to not address the problem now when we need to make a decision and allow the town staff to move forward. And I concur. If that was not in the original plan, that right sign, then the town can say, remove the sign and place something that's more appropriate as a directed by a Eagle Scout committee and their small plaques. I have no problem with that either.
And I have no problem voting on us moving the monument tonight. I just don't know what the best, do we have to give which one, 1, 2, 3, or 4? We have to vote on that tonight?
well, we need to make a decision
I mean,
where
it
it's
needs to
going
be
to be
moved.
sitting.
I don't feel a bit
I
uncomfortable
can-
about moving it
I
because
know
it's in
that,
the way, but I don't know if we have to choose one of the 4 options tonight.
I've talked to Harold and Philip about it, and Philip has a way to saw cut the circle. right? Can you hear me? Oh, okay. I didn't know if you were if you could hear me back there. There is a way to saw cut the circle. There is a way, Harold said that he has the ability to remove the part that we don't want. Is that correct? So it's on the board's decision how much of that circle
Okay.
to cut. And what we probably ought to do is, I can get up with our resident engineer, that's a commissioner, and have him decide which part of that monument that circle will support.
Yeah, let's do that.
But can we just, as part of our motion, put confidence in town staff to do the due diligence and determine that, rather than wait?
Yes, I agree.
I mean, if
I
we
agree with
shape
that.
it with the half, and then let them decide, weight-bearing wise, where it needs to fit, closest to the sidewalk where it will still
Make
be
it work.
structurally sound, I think that gets at Commissioner Beaver's
Yes,
concerns.
yeah,
And
let
then
them make
it's,
it work.
and then it's a done deal.
You make the motion.
Okay. So I'll move, based on the discussion tonight and the information presented in the read-ahead packet, that the board directs the town staff to remove, at a minimum, of the back half of the round base and do a appropriate assessment based on the weight and location of the monument on how that monument will be positioned between the end of the sidewalk and the end of the other half that remains. I know that's a little confusing,
portion
but at
thereof.
the end of
The
the day,
portion that's left.
that's
Portion
correct.
thereof.
Yeah, and then they do that as soon as possible so that we can address concerns of citizens about safety, and we can also move forward with
Fence.
completing the playground in total.
And I second.
Motion and a second. Anyone else? Discussion?
Yeah,
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly about, what he's saying, but I still think that, in this instance, we're just going to concentrate on the base right now. We're not removing anything until we talk. Okay, all right, so I'm good.
No, not removing anything right now. Okay.
Well, yeah, we're moving half of the base. and
Or,
moving-
or,
Okay.
or a
yeah,
portion
that's-
of the base.
Right.
It may not be exactly a
Right,
half,
right,
but it'll
right,
be a
right.
portion of the base.
And then, Mayor, and I know we've got a second, I would like to amend that motion based on some input from Commissioner Beavers and the later discussion about the sign on the right, that based on the fact that it was not part of the plan, that it ought to be removed in coordination with the Eagle Scout Committee for an appropriate plaque be put in its place.
That's you amended it.
Yes, based
Okay.
on
Okay,
the
is there a
comments
second to
tonight.
that? Is there a second? You second it. All right, the discussion will be, if I can sit down with the members of the Eagle Scout Board, it's what we always tell them. It's a plaque.
Well, and that's been my comment all along. I want to do it in alignment with what is proper
Yeah.
based on what is there. And if you're telling me that that has not historically been what has been put
It is
there,
not.
then we ought to make sure that we're in alignment with that.
The picnic tables at Bethesda, beside old Bethesda Church, on Bethesda Road, not the picnic tables next to the road, but the picnic tables behind that, was another Eagle Scout project. And it has a plaque on it, on the top of those boards. And that was done a long time ago. So you can find these plaques. If you go out and look at Eagle Scout projects, you can find them. They're there. And when we say put a plaque, this is what we say. That's all you need. We're not talking about metal signs and that sort of thing. It's never come across that we have told any Eagle Scout candidate to put up a sign. And I'm sure they would back up what I'm saying. All right, so motion is second. Anything else?
Yeah, because now we're talking about removing the other thing.
The
that
metal
he has
sign.
there. Yeah, and I have no problem with that, unless, as long long as we speak to him, because we all went down there with the dedication.
I understand.
So,
I understand what
think
you're
we should-
saying, but in the
so
end,
I agree. as
I'll
long as
tell
we-
you
we speak
again,
to him.
it doesn't belong to that young man.
I understand that too, but we did go down there. and-
Well, I want you to say that to my son who lost his ticket, his split rail fence also.
Picnic table.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. All right, then we'll go to B, consider approval of the DLL lease proposal for the sanitation truck and authorize the town manager and finance director to sign proper documentation. Thank y'all. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor and Board. What you have before you tonight is information we talked about during the budget process to do a lease on the sanitation truck instead of doing a paying cash or doing an installment financing or tax exempt financing. So I originally went out to ask First Bank, BB&T, First Citizens, and the vendor finance partner, Delage London Financial Services, to give me a proposal. First Citizens and Delage London is the only one providing one of those. BB&T and First Bank did not. So what I have is a proposal and documents is already being reviewed by a Bro Law firm. And what, this is not on my memo, is the lease will cost the town over a 5-year period a little over $149,000. If you did a tax exempt financing, it's a little over $183,000. So that saves the town for a 5-year period $34,101.60. Because as during the budget process we talked about, at the end of 5 years, those trucks, we don't need to keep them. And that's what the public works people decided. So when we got the financing, obviously that's a lot better than just paying cash out of your pocket for it. So we're paying less out than what the truck actually cost. The truck cost $174,220. Monthly payments $2,494.48. And the reason that works is they put a residual in, just like you finance a car or lease a car. It's a residual, and I computed somewhere around 25%. And they build in. So what I'm recommending tonight, approval of the DLL lease proposal and the documents, any of the modifications, as long as it's signed off by a Bro Law firm, and provide the town manager and or myself the ability to sign those documents when it's time to sign those. The truck, it was supposed to have been in October, supply chain problems, now it's the second to third week in November. That's the plan, but DLL has promised me they've already locked their rate, so they're ready to go, even though with the delay. And they work hand in hand with the vendor supplier anyway, so they do a lot of these financings for them. No brainer.
I'll make a motion that we approve the DLL lease proposal for the sanitation truck and also authorize the town manager and or the finance director to sign the proper documentation once vetted by the town attorney.
I second it.
Motion is second. Discussion. This is a good deal for the town. We're going to save money, and we don't have to worry about disposing of a truck in 5 years.
That's good.
One side note, if you may not have picked up in my memo, they provide unlimited mileage.
Yes.
There you
Drive
go.
that.
Like, it's already been said tonight, it's a no-brainer. So this works. Any further discussion? And we had a motion in a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Carries. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Board.
C, consideration of name for the new park located on Main Street.
My suggestion would be the Main Street Park. It just identifies it and is so easily to recognize where it is.
I like that name too.
Anybody else?
I agree. I think Main Street.
Yeah, well, Adam had approached me, that was Adam's idea. So,
Oh, was it?
yeah, he believed that that captured the essence of the gateway, because I had told him gateway, and he said, well, Main Street, it's on Main Street, nobody will have a problem knowing where it's located. Drive down Main Street, eventually you'll run into it.
Yes.
So, and I appreciate Commissioner Bowles kind of driving this to a discussion, because I read in the Friday reports that, the town's leaning forward and ready to order a sign. So the sooner the board can kind of come up with a name, then get the sign ordered, and before long, we've got a brand-new park over there. So, yeah, that's certainly one for me, too.
And
Okay.
with this discussion, thank you. Paul, I do know, Adam is not here, and the Sharp Park sign was removed. Do you know if it was just so they can clean up the property?
No, Mayor, I don't know, but I'll check and see if you still got it, or, the nature of it, if it was, hopefully it's intact still. I would hate to see, I know they cleaned up the park actually looks pretty good with the grass, and they
It does.
replanted there, but, that's a good question, I'll check. Yeah, he's at his annual conference,
That's
and,
fine.
he should be back, I think, Tuesday afternoon or
We
Wednesday
just
morning.
need to make sure
Okay.
that there's recognition that it's
That sign
Sharp
needs to go
Park.
back up, so
Yeah,
that
we-
people know we're not
No,
moving the park.
We didn't abandon it, and
Yeah.
the Sharp family gave us the property, and we need to honor that.
And all the rocks, those large rocks around it were taken too.
There's a couple of them still
Only
left,
two small ones.
and you know who put those
I don't
there?
know why they,
Do you know who put those there?
yes,
It was an Eagle Scout photo.
yes.
So, anyway, we do need to find out where the sign is, and if it needs to be repaired or repainted or whatever, we're gonna have to put something back, put that one back.
Right, we need to find out where the rocks were taken, if they belong to us,
Well, they were put there during that Eagle Scout
Right,
project,
but it
and I
wasn't-
guess they moved them so they could
clean. Okay.
clean the grounds. I assume that's what they did. Okay. So, where are we? Did somebody make a motion? We're still
I make a
discussing.
motion that we name it the new park, the Main Street Park.
I'll second.
Motion is second. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Main Street Park, we got one. Thank
yay.
you. Close out that, go to other business, and, Paul, do you have any other business?
Was there one item, Justin? I think there
Yes, sir.
was. Thank you.
The Appearance Beautification Commission allocates funds, or well, the Planning Department allocates funds for the Appearance Beautification Commission. And moving forward, we're trying to give them more leeway and creative control over these funds, as they are the Planning Department's funds to begin with. One of those things is to come up with a list of projects that they would like to see accomplished in the next year. We did that in August. They had a subcommittee and presented 10 or 11 projects to the Appearance Beautification Commission for final vote and adoption. Staff did a lot of hard work and legwork trying to find out how much these projects would cost. We took the summer to do that, so we made sure that we brought back to the ABC how much things are going to cost, how much money they have to play with, and things of that nature. And one of those projects that they attempted to tackle was the landscaping here at the municipal building. It's very dated and has not been maintained through the past decades. And so that project is set to begin tomorrow morning. The ABC appointed, of the two people that bid on the contract, appointed an outfit that did the same, or did the landscape plan over at the depot. So it's a company we've worked well with before, and we expect good things, but they'll start removing all the planting materials on this property starting tomorrow. Now, what does that mean exactly? We are keeping the landscape areas that are seasonal. We do a fall planting and a spring planting. Those areas are under some of the trees, some of the apple trees and some of the dogwoods, as well as around the municipal government sign that's lit up. Those will remain and constantly changed out throughout the course of all of our plantings as per our normal SOP. However, some of the other materials, the Japanese maples and the pencil trees and some of the other
shrubbery is going to be removed and replaced with low maintenance but colorful material as selected by the ABC. And again, that'll start tomorrow, and we'll start to see the plantings material soon after that. So don't be alarmed if you see a whole bunch of plants removed. We do have a plan to replace them.
Thank you. And also, I had a citizen ask me today that, and there was some concern on the neighborhood that the citizens in about there's no landscaping at Thomas Tire. And I tried to explain that we do have the money to do it. They gave us a bond or whatever they gave us.
Financial guarantee. Yes, sir.
Okay. Just where are we with that? I don't know where we are with the landscaping.
They're waiting for the materials to come in and it get cool enough. It just started getting cool in the past
Okay.
week or two, so we're still tracking that. We have the financial guarantee.
Yeah.
In fact, the general contractor, the project manager for the site, reached out to us a couple weeks ago and said they're really close to starting that.
Okay, and I appreciate that because it was just today that this citizen said some of this person's neighborhood was concerned that there was no landscaping.
Yes, sir. Staff's talked to several people along the north.
Okay, all right. That's what I explained, that we had the money in hand. It was just a matter of whenever they can do it.
So for clarification purposes, just to be very clear, while we have the money in hand, that is a threat. That's not necessarily us doing the work.
No, I understand. No,
So
no.
when we take the money on, it's a
Sure.
financial guarantee that they'll do it. We'll give the money back when it's all inspected and installed.
That's right. That's the way I explained
Yes,
it.
sir.
Thank you.
And Mayor, before Justin sits down, so I just want to be clear on the trees. Justin, were you looking for just make sure if I understood the type of tree is going to be planted or trees?
On this property?
Yeah, no, not on the downtown property.
I'm confused. I apologize.
The trees that we're removing, and I thought there was going to be a concept with the ABC about what was going to be planted there, a type or types of trees or plants, no?
You're talking about on the town hall property?
Yeah,
Yeah, no trees are going to be planted. No trees are going to be taken out, just
Shrubs.
shrubs.
how about what's going to replace them?
I don't have that information off the top of my
Okay.
head, but it was vetted by the ABC and was designed by a landscape architect.
Will you bring that back, or are they just going to decide?
We
and
generally
go?
don't. It's up to obviously,
Okay.
the town
Is this,
manager and the board.
is this board okay with that? I
Yes.
know two of you are. Okay, I know two of you are on that board, but I
We are
just,
the board.
I know how this goes, and the last thing I want to do is have two board members who are very happy with the bushes and
Yeah.
three in the mayor who don't like the bushes.
Right, right.
And I don't really want to be in the middle of it, to be honest with you, so I
My
want to be seamless and clear, so.
only concern is as long as we're following our own UDO when it comes to the
Yeah.
plantings.
Our
That's all I
chairman,
care about.
our chairman is very well versed in the type of
Yeah.
plants and what they're gonna do when they grow and
Yeah,
stuff. So a lot of
I've been
times
there,
I
heard that
just go
before.
with whatever
Yeah.
she says because of her knowledge
Well, it's not her
base.
call, it's the committee's
Right.
call, and I
But the
want to make,
pictures
and
that
their advisory committee, so
Yeah,
it's
we
a
were-
big deal at town hall, so again, I
Yeah.
want, if the board wants me to bring it back, we'll bring it back. I just want to be very clear on this one.
We were given photographs of the bushes and things that are gonna be placed there, and they all looked very appealing and low maintenance. Our desire was to try to get something that wasn't gonna have to be maintained and cut and gouged and, because of the way they were having to be cut and sheared instead of pruned. And so that's what they've guaranteed us that they would do. And Planner Olaf has been very well involved in that as well. She's very knowledgeable of it. But I thought we were keeping the Japanese maples.
I can't hear. There's too many people talking.
I thought we were keeping the Japanese maples.
We are. They're being trimmed up and limbed up.
Yes, okay.
They're going to be turned more to what they're supposed to be, which is trees. Plus, they're very, very expensive, so we should keep
Yes,
them.
yes.
Yeah, honestly, I never saw myself as a commissioner approving what type of bushes go around town hall. I trust the parents and beautification committees to do that for us.
Yes, sir.
So I look forward to seeing them.
That's all.
It's
If that's the
town manager's
consensus,
point.
that's all I need to
Yeah.
hear. Just want to make sure you have a
Better safe than
chance.
sorry.
Especially with members on this board being actively engaged in that process. That's even a bonus.
I'll second that.
That's fine with me.
Notion, not motion, but notion. Want to make sure that was right there.
Yeah. And before, again, I hate to prolong a meeting, but I know both Harold and Justin are here. Is there anything else on the container that we're trying to put together that we need to talk about real quickly, very briefly?
Yeah.
for the shared kind of trash dumpster. It needs to be enclosed. It's going to be over there on the edge of Sycamore. Anything we need to talk about or get an okay from the board, we can do this at the work session, but I know that's kind of coming up here pretty soon.
Sure. So very simply, there's no action by the board needed at this point. We will bring it in front of you before we award the contract and the final design. Obviously, the final design needs to be looked at by this board. To give you a little background, a lot of businesses on the corner of Main and Sycamore, near the corner of Main and Sycamore, utilize a alleyway that is privately owned. The owner of said alleyway owns several businesses downtown. However, only one of their properties actually touches the alley. Most of the other adjacent property owners use the alley, and it's become quite cluttered. Unfortunately, the property owner who owns the alley and the business adjacent to it has to use that alley for proper ingress egress for said restaurant. Any additional rollout cans, which is where the businesses in that area kind of store their cans, kind of out of mind, out of sight. Unfortunately, the fire marshal and the public works director and TRC as a whole has recommended that we do not issue any more rollout cans because of the fire issue. Long story short, if there's a fire in the restaurant, somebody needs to escape out the back, they're not going anywhere. There's too many cans, and when I mean this alley is very, very narrow. With fire escapes, you know, I'm 5'8" and 160 pounds. I have to slide through like this. If you're any bigger than I am, you're not going to make it out alive. So with that being said, staff tried to look at creative ways of providing the new restaurant that's set to open sometime this fall and this winter, ways to remove their trash off their property as well, because they will not be allowed to put their rollout cans in an alleyway. So what staff did is, and with the public works director and his help, we realized that having a dumpster in downtown someplace was going to be beneficial to everybody, including the town. So for example, it's kind of a cost neutral endeavor with regards to roll-up cans versus the cost it takes to empty the dumpster. However, one of the biggest things, to the town manager's point, is this dumpster needs to be enclosed. It's going to be located in new area, not existing parking, but new area that Public Works and the Planning Inspections Department has worked on to try to find 2 more parking spaces on Sycamore near the Galaxy entrance. And with these 2 new spaces, as you might have seen, there's some security fencing around it, some construction fencing. We're going to gather 2 new spaces. We're going to move the existing light pole that's there. And then with the extra little room that we're going to have left over, it would be perfect for a dumpster enclosure. This dumpster enclosure is not finally designed yet. When it does, when we get a final, and by final I mean final to us, y'all need to approve it. So we'll bring back the final design before y'all. It'll also need a certificate of appropriateness for the HPC, but we're looking as cheaply as we can get it with regards to materials and costs, but also it does need to be very incognito. So we're looking at not vinyl fences, not vinyl gates. Those break too easily. We're not even looking at wood at this point just because of the longevity of those woods. And ironically enough, the alley that we're looking to replace all these roll-up cans with this dumpster enclosure had a gorgeous wrought iron and brick walkway about 10, 15 years ago, and it was replaced 8 years ago with a wooden fence with a shadow box. That fence is already falling down. You need 2 hands to open that gate just to pick it up off the ground. So that being said, we've learned our lesson with regards to whatever we build for this enclosure needs to be more permanent. We're looking at brick, we're looking at hardy board plank siding and things of that materials. We've talked to a couple different contractors. So we're trying to juggle. I think we've had 3 conversations, and we'll continue to have more conversations. But when we do narrow the design kind of down, again, it's still flexible to y'all's ability, but outside that, we'll try to bring a more formalized plan to y'all, hopefully within the next 2, 3 meetings. We're going to have to do a budget amendment for that as well, since this was not previously approved.
That's all.
Thank you.
I got
Yes.
one
Yes,
on
sir,
other
you do.
business. It was brought to my attention over the weekend that there are 2 streets in our downtown area that are 35 miles an hour. And it's Tarbell Street and Sycamore Street are all 35. And they're 35 due to the fact they're not posted. So some citizens have come to me about concern about speed on these streets. And I'd like to make a proposal tonight that we get those signs, those streets posted with a 20-mile-an-hour speed limit sign that is concurrent with Main Street and Poplar Street. And we do need a discussion in accordance to what I've been told. We do need a discussion by this board and a motion by this board in order for Public Works to actually put these signs up.
Yes, sir.
And it's a motion to change the speed limit
Yes.
on those,
Yes.
not just put the signs up, so. yes.
Yeah.
All these years people have lived here, I never knew that was not 20 miles an hour. I mean, who would have known there's no signs?
Yeah, yes, sir, and I think that's, Mr. Mayor, that's the point. If it's not posted, it's 35 miles an hour.
That's right, if it's not
Or-
posted, it's 35.
Yep.
Yeah, if it's not posted. Chief, are you aware of this?
Yes, sir, we spoke, and I said I did check, and Tarwell is posted at 35.
It need,
Tarwell and,
okay,
Sycamore's not posted.
okay, so, everyone understands what the proposal, do you want to make a motion to that effect?
Yeah, so I guess then to rectify the motion as far as based off the information provided by our police chief. So my motion would be is to reduce the speed limit on Sycamore from 35 to 25 and postings to 20, and also to remove said posted sign of 35 on Tarbell and replace it with a 20-mile-an-hour sign, so that we're more concurrent with other streets within our city limits.
To your knowledge, are they the only two that
To my
don't,
knowledge.
that need to be 20 while you're already making these
To
motions?
my knowledge.
I don't know of any others. What it is if it's not posted, it defaults to 35.
Yes.
And see, it was never
Right.
posted, so I guess it defaulted
It
to
defaults.
35.
That was the way it was explained to me.
So what's south? 35? South Street?
South Street's posted at 20.
It is?
Yes.
Is Maple 20?
What is Maple?
Once you come around off of Maple, get off of Desmond Maple, and come into town, it goes to 20.
It's 20.
It's 20?
Mhm.
They don't drive like that.
No, well, you heard the couple tonight, it's all over town, so. Are we? Yes, sir.
I think Justin's gonna take a look at Maple, because I think he was thinking it was 25, just in case.
I know Main Street's 20.
One time we had a discussion, there was two signs on that street, and we had to
Yeah.
change it.
There it is.
Last summer, I apologize, last summer, the mayor brought up this
Yes, he did.
instance
Mhm.
because the sign up at the top of the hill facing the other way was 35.
Yep.
And so this board directed Public Works at the time to replace that sign up at the top of the hill to 35, or from 35 to 25. So just FYI, this is also 25.
Okay.
It's
Yeah,
not 20.
but, yeah, Main Street is 20,
Many times I've seen
and so is Poplar Street. Am I not correct?
That's correct, all the way to Maple.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. It would be more concurrent with the
20,
streets that it touches.
Okay. That was a motion. Did somebody second it?
I'll second.
There's a second. All right, there is a second. Any further discussion? It's just these two streets,
Yes.
and making them in line with the rest of the
Yeah,
streets.
south is posted at 20.
All right. Anyone else? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries. Thank you for bringing that to us. Anyone else with other business?
Mayor, I know we've been presented the soiree on south parking options. I'd like to just kind of request it in 2 weeks at the work session. We come together with the best win-win so that we can let this business owner know, with all the activities that continue to feed down in that part of the town, I just want to
Right.
make sure that we're putting closure on this. And so in 2 weeks, I just request that we address it and then let the owner know what the town is able to do.
Okay. Is that good? Thank you. Anyone else?
So I have just one question in response to that. So, Rail House Brewery has a gravelled parking lot. Was that grandfathered in under UDO?
It's railroad property.
It's railroad
It's not
property.
railroad property?
No, sir, it's railroad easement.
Easement, I'm
It's owned by
sorry.
the property owner. From the silver boxes to the front of the building is privately owned. Railroad just has an easement over it. They
Okay.
don't own it, it's not right away.
Okay, I thought it was right away.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
So my question is, do they maintain it and continue to put new gravel in there, or is it just left over from
No,
previous?
they actually maintained it several weeks ago.
With gravel?
Yes, ma'am.
And they can do that because they were
Existing gravel.
before,
Not to
New
mention
deed.
it's a separate zoning district as well, which comes into play. So in my email and memo, and the town managers echoed this as well, addition of gravel incurs a site plan per the UDO. Anytime you increase impervious surface, which the state has deemed gravel to be, or put a structure on a property, you have to do a site plan, and you're subjugated to all the rules of said site plan. Maintaining an existing non-conforming situation can continue, including maintenance of, so refurbishment of existing gravels is okay. So that's why there's a difference there. Now, had that building completely been vacant and came in, that'd be a different story.
Anything else? I know we have some citizens here tonight, and those that may be at home listening or watching this. The Moore County municipal election is a week from tomorrow. I hope everyone will go out and vote for the candidate that they choose. So don't forget to vote. You
I voted early.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
there's a motion to adjourn and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.